What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today we're going to go over the controls, inputs, and outputs on the PPA53. So before we dive in, let's take a look at the controls, inputs, and outputs on the PPA53, starting with the front of the preamp. All the way to the left, we have the power switch here to power on the preamp. So I'll go ahead and flip that on. Then we have buttons for music playback when we have a device connected to the preamp. So we have the pause play button to pause or play our tracks. We have a stop button to stop the music. We have a skip forward button and a previous button to cycle between tracks. You can also hold down the skip forward and the previous button to set the volume for your Bluetooth device and your USB device. And we have a mode button to switch between Bluetooth mode, USB mode, etc. We have a volume for Bluetooth and USB devices, and we also have a headphone volume. Then we have a combo jack for XLR or 1/4-inch cables to connect a microphone or instrument. Next to that, we have the volume knob for your microphone or instrument. And then next to that, we have a 3-band EQ with a bass knob, a mid knob, and a treble knob. So we can use these to manipulate the sound coming out of our preamp. So the bass knob can be used for all the low-end frequencies, the mid knob can be used for the mid frequencies, and the treble knob can be used for the high frequencies. We have the balance knob to balance the sound between your left and right speaker, and a master knob to control the volume coming out of the preamp. And this is also important for when you're using your preamp with your recording setup. We have a mono button to switch our preamp from stereo to mono, a mute button to mute everything coming out of the preamp, a low cut button which acts as a high pass filter so it cuts the low end frequencies coming out. And we have a loudness button which will actually boost the high and low end coming through. Lastly, on the front we have the input selector switch to switch the input of the preamp. So we could set this to interface when we're using the preamp with our recording setup. We can also switch this to line 1 if we're using the 1/4-inch left and right line inputs on the back of the unit. We can also set it to one of the 3 aux inputs, which again are on the back. And we also have the phono input if we want to use a turntable with the preamp. You would connect your turntable into the phono input on the back. Another cool thing to note is that this is an RIAA preamp, which means it's going to boost the volume from your record player for the best sound quality possible. So on the back of the preamp, you have all of these RCA inputs like I mentioned earlier. So you have aux 1, aux 2, aux 3, and phono. Next to the phono input, you also have this ground post. So if there's an unwanted noise coming from your turntable, you can use the ground post to eliminate that noise. Then you have the line 1 1/4-inch input, so you can connect any device that has 1/4-inch outputs. You have the USB interface port, so you can take a USB-A to USB-B cable, plug the USB-B end into the USB interface port, and plug the other end into your laptop or computer. You also have an RCA output, so you can take the signal from your preamp and send it out to another powered speaker, subwoofer, etc. And you also have XLR outputs, so you can set up a pair of speakers to the preamp. And then lastly, you have the Bluetooth antenna port. So if you haven't already, you can take the included Bluetooth antenna and screw it on to the Bluetooth antenna port. And this is going to strengthen the connection between your Bluetooth device and your preamp. So hopefully this helped explain all of the controls, inputs, and outputs for your PPA53. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.